So today I'm going to talk to you about why I gave up on the law of attraction, or LOA, and how I found real abundance instead. Now, the full disclosure, I am pretty new to making YouTube videos in this way. And so I have my Google Doc in front of me with all of my notes. So if I'm looking down, it's because I'm checking out my notes, and I'm going to share my screen in a bit so you guys can kind of follow along with me. Firstly, my backstory. Like, how did I get into law of attraction, manifestation, money mindset, abundance thinking, raise your vibrations, all the things? How I got into that, what my story is, and what the consequences of that are, and maybe some positives. The flaws. Like, what are the three big flaws that I found in that sort of world and in the law of attraction and in manifestation, abundance, and all that stuff? And also, what I have found that really does work, whatever. I don't know if that's the right word, but how I have overcome the demons, I suppose, that drove me into pursuing that world, that industry, that thing. Although, I'm still flawed human. I've not by any means transcended problems or fears or all that. But I have definitely matured, and there was a big process. And I think the law of attraction and all that sort of manifestation stuff was a bit of a distraction and enabled me to avoid doing the real work that I needed to do. So I'm going to talk about that because this channel, I explore stories and all the different kinds of stories that we get sucked into. And, a big story that we get sucked into is the story of a self, which kind of goes down some Buddhist roots, but stories in general. And today I'm looking at the story of the law of attraction and abundance. So let me get into it. Firstly, I'm going to rewind a little bit. My personal backstory. So it was 2017, and I don't know how I even really got into it. I was not in the best place, but I kind of got, I got targeted with the YouTube ad, which took me into signing up for an online business where there was a kind of promise that I could make a passive income and live the laptop lifestyle, and with no business experience whatsoever. And the way I was targeted was because I was watching law of attraction videos. I was watching like Tony Robbins and Abraham Hicks and I don't know, all these other people. I don't think I was long into that when I was, I was targeted on YouTube with this advert promoting online business. But there you go. That's how I ended up kind of really being enveloped into that world. And I joined a community of people that were also really bought into this stuff. And so it really validated that I was on the right track. And some people had like amazing success with their online business. And I started to, really feel like there was something in this. And because of that, I I really put myself into a lot of financial scarcity. I mean, I don't know how I feel about scarcity, but like I took out loans. I pretended like I didn't need a job. I was just like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And it was just really unrealistic. And but my vision board, I had my vision board, and I was visualizing and doing all the manifestation stuff. So I felt like it was going to work out just fine. And I obviously ended up in debt, and having to work really hard to pay it off. And and then I learned that actually it wasn't some divine intervention that meant that I was presented with this business opportunity, because I thought I manifested it. It was Google targeting. And I was like, okay. And I think the big thing for me when the curtain started to come up was when I started really going down a career in copywriting, and I was helping people with their online business copywriting, and I was just seeing that people didn't know what they were promoting. It was all messaging. It was all literally messaging. It was all like the spiritual messaging. It was all the manifestation messaging, affirmation messaging. And like when I was working with people, I'd be like, yeah, but what's the actual value of the product? Like, what is it that they're going to gain from this? And I actually believe the program itself so the way it worked was I bought this program and then I was kind of reselling it. And it turned out that people interested in law of attraction were really interested and were a good target. They bought this product. So most people within that program were then targeting people with law of attraction stuff. But then the problem with that is they are also believing in law of attraction, and then they're promoting the values of law of attraction to bring more people in who also believe in law of attraction. So it creates this big echo chamber. And so anyway, working in more depth with people, I saw like that they were being sort of, they didn't know the substance of what they'd actually bought, and what they'd actually bought, the program, which was teaching you how to build an online business, was really valuable. It was so valuable. And, it's the reason I have a successful business today. It's the reason why I can coach clients in that area. Like, it was really valuable. But people had been bought in because they believed that they were going to manifest loads of money and passive income. It really was people promoting it sold a lie, essentially. And that's when I started learning about substance in copywriting. And I started to go to I went to all these like live events and stuff like that. And I saw all these like before and after things. And that for me was like, it was a big light bulb moment for me, because I was like seeing that people were promoting law of attraction courses and also like the values of law of attraction and this stuff. And they were using these before and after snippets of people who'd gone from this place to this place, or like, fuck all, I've got no money, I'm broke, and then I'm also here now, like a 7-figure business owner or whatever it is. And they attribute it to law of attraction. So I was like, that's not true. Like, there's a whole middle bit that you're missing out. You're pointing out correlation, not causation. And there's a correlation. Here's a correlation for you. Everyone who has a vision board has a fridge, right? Doesn't mean that there's any connection between people having fridges and vision boards. And so I saw these people promoting, like, you can live your best life. You can have a 7-figure business if you just manifest properly. And I was like, this is just bullshit. It's just not true. It's really hard. It's really, really hard to create a 7-figure business, like big time. It's most people do not have that. And so you're in this community of ordinary people who all are aspiring to have this passive income and to build their riches, and they've got no business experience, but based on the fact that they are believing in manifestation, they are then bought into the idea that they can do it. And then, it doesn't happen. And so I kind of left that world and just decided like that's just, I don't know, I just felt very disillusioned from it. But what I ended up doing eventually was that I found that really by facing the negativity, by facing the stuff that the negativity in me, let's just put it that way. I don't know how else to word it. By facing that and feeling the full effects of my negative beliefs and embracing that element of myself, that was how I created an internal sense of security, an internal sense of abundance. I don't love that word, but abundance, an internal sense of stability. And I'm going to talk through the flaws of the law of attraction in some more detail today, and also actual steps that I took to go from really ridden with anxiety and depression and magical thinking and naivety, to being a realist, but actually having a way better life and experiencing joy, freedom. I think that's the big one. Like in moments of hardship, right? Life is hard. Let's just face the facts. Life is hard. But if you can, I don't know, there's things you can do that make life a bit better, and you don't have to manifest a whole new reality. So now I'm going to get into my doc. So flaw number 1. Flaw number 1, right? So it's the illusion of control. Here you go. Maybe I'm not going to share screen. I'm just going to talk to you about it. I'm going to go look. The illusion of control. So yeah, I'm going to share my screen because you can read along with me what I've got, and then I'm going to just what am I going to do? I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Here we go. Sorry, I'm trying to share my page with you. Excuse me for one moment. So in my business, we have this thing called BAFE, which is build as you fly. And this is a very build as you fly process. I'm getting used to this. Okay, so we've got flaw number 1, the illusion of control. So law of attraction tells you your thoughts create your reality. Sounds empowering, right? You can tell that this was written by AI. I did plan it out myself, but I got talking points. But it's a trap. It makes you believe you're in control of everything, every setback, every bill, every heartbreak. That belief feeds guilt and self-blame because when life doesn't go to plan, you assume you did something wrong. And the truth, you can influence your world, but you can't control it. Trying to control it just amplifies your anxiety. Peace comes when you surrender to what's actually happening. Example, I used to think I was attracting debt because my energy, turns out I was just avoiding my bank balance. So, I mean, I actually don't necessarily want to encourage that thinking because I'm pursuing a different way of thinking, which is that you aren't very influential in your life. But let's leave that for another part. But this is the illusion of control, right? Actually, let's see. I want to get into. I should have shared screen differently. I'm going to stop sharing and share it better. There's a better way to do this. Side by side. Should we do that? Over the shoulder? That's background. That's what I'm going to do. Here I am. My face is on the screen now. I'm going to try and move so you can see. All right. So, law of attraction tells you your thoughts create your reality. I think this is the problem. The illusion of control. Okay, so because the fundamental principle of law of attraction philosophy is that you can change your reality. It's on the basis of the fact that you have some influential, you have a lot of influence, you have control, right? What's happening is you're attracting what you don't want because you're thinking the wrong things. And so you change the way you're thinking, you are going to attract the things you want. And that suggests that you can control what you're thinking. And I think that's just patently untrue. I just do not believe it. I just don't think it's true. Like, we know that's not true. If I say to you, purple giraffe, your brain makes a purple giraffe. And like, you have your whole existence a lot of the time is consumed by thoughts. There is no way that you are going to be able to police your thoughts. And I think that's a big issue with the law of attraction stuff, is that there's this element of telling you that you can control your thoughts. And by controlling your thoughts, you are then going to create abundance, attract the man of your dreams, create a passive income. I mean, that's all just money and relationships, isn't it? Those aren't big things that people care about, though. So that's a big issue with it, is that it lies in the principle that you can control your thoughts. I do not believe that. I have actually felt the absolute contradictory, like that is completely contradictory to my experience. And so, there's other things that come with that as well. So if you then can't control your thoughts, you have guilt and shame. Like you're doing something wrong because you are not thinking the right things. You are to blame. So not only are you in control of your thoughts, which is so hard to do, if at all possible, right? But also because you are not controlling your thoughts, because you're not diligent enough, because you're not aware enough, you're not present enough, and you're now you've got this bill come through. That's on you. That's on you not having control over your thoughts. It just seems very flawed, and it seems really unrealistic, and it doesn't take into account the fact that people don't have control over their thoughts. The bypass of negativity. Okay, this is quite important as well. So I only learned this term recently, which is called spiritual bypassing. So spiritual bypassing is when you negate the negative, right? Or you negate what you're really experiencing because you're spiritual, right? So you can say oh, well, I mean, this is actually a Buddhist thing when you say, oh, I'm worried about money, but there's no such thing as money. Money's just a concept. So I don't need to worry about that. And you just push that aside, right? And it's the same, like bypassing is where you have a problem in your environment, and instead of acknowledging it and looking into it, you bypass it. I'm going to stop sharing my screens. Might be a bit distracting. So bypassing is a really big thing, right? So because you're only trying to think positive, when a negative thought comes up, you're just going to push it aside rather than, well, I mean, there's so many other things you can do with it, and we're not going to get into that now, but you're pushing away, you're resisting, right? You're resisting what is. The fact is you have a thought that is negative to you. You don't like it. And by you rejecting that you've got that, you're bypassing the truth and you're hiding from reality. That is not, it's not a recipe for abundance. It is a recipe for distortion and separation and burying your head in the sand. And if you want to create abundance, or if you want to be like secure, or if you want to have a relationship, pretending the problems are not there is not a great formula, if I do say so myself. Not that I'm an expert, but you know, just say. And so the final flaw I've got, oh, I am still sharing. I'm like, no, I'm not. Here we go. I'm sharing again. Final flaw I've got is the myth of more. Oh, this is really important, actually. So at the root of abundance, the abundance movement, is the idea that your life should be different than it is. Richer, bigger, freer, more. And that's the real poison, because every time you tell yourself you should be somewhere else, you reinforce that you are not enough where you are. The truth, you can question that belief. Can you absolutely be sure, or could be absolutely sure, that your life isn't exactly what it's supposed to be right now? This isn't toxic gratitude or pretending everything's fine. It's peace with reality, not as a resignation, but as a foundation. Optional reflection. When I stopped arguing my life, it stopped arguing back. Interesting. Okay. Don't know how helpful that is. So what was that point again? It was the myth of more. Right. So by adopting the law of attraction mindset, by adopting this manifestation mindset, you are taking a stance that your life is not okay as it is. And that separates you from reality. It separates you from well, the present moment, right? And I'm not the best with this, so I'm not gonna pay lip service to something that I don't really like. I'm not there yet. I'll get into that in a minute, but I do know the theory of it, right? And so if you are buying into like law of attraction or manifestation stuff, then you are basically saying that you are not where you want to be. And we all know that they kind of bake that in as well. Like, you have to think as though it's already been created. Again, it's like policing your thoughts. You've got so many thoughts, but the ones that you do catch, you have to then reframe them to change the tense that you say them in, so that you train your body to believe you are already where you need to be, when you maybe could shortcut that and be like, I'm already where I need to be. Like, maybe you are right where you need to be. Maybe this moment right now here is all there is. And maybe this is the perfect thing for you. Maybe this is everything. And there's something really peaceful and meaningful about that. Delving into, this is it. This is all there is. I had a bit of an insight with that 28th of June, actually. I was like, oh, wow, this is all there is. I think, what Buddhists call kensho. I don't know. Terms, concepts, loads of things, loads of more stories. So I'm not going to get too into that. But that for me, like, kind of wiped out the whole, like, oh, there is nothing for me to chase. That, like, it is in the seeking that the suffering happens. It is in the pursuit of happiness that the happiness is blocked. And so by adopting a law of attraction mindset or philosophy, it's acknowledging that there is something to change. It's acknowledging, and let's go through all of it. Number one, I have the control to change it. Number two, like, the way I control it is by pretending nothing, my reality isn't what my reality is. And number three, because this isn't good enough, right? Those are they kind of all feed into each other. So anyway, I kind of lost my thread a little bit, but that's basically the three main flaws that I kind of think about law of attraction and the manifestation stuff. And these are, you know, these help us, these keep us stuck in a story that life is just not okay as it is. And so now I want to get onto, like, you know, what do I do differently? What changed for me? Oh, okay. Well, I guess I actually, in my notes, I've got consequences. And the consequences is that these beliefs kept me in cycles of denial. I buried my head in the sand financially, credit card loans, passive income schemes, you name it. I told myself I was manifesting stability while actively avoiding responsibility. And yeah, like I said, what changed was when I started facing my negative stories instead of bypassing them. And there's so many more levels to that. I'm not going to get into it. This is kind of like level one, because I'm this level, by doing this, it's actually deepened my connection to the present moment and to life and to reality as it is, and that's amazing. It feels really good. But there are things that I did that were practical that got me to a new headspace. So that was journaling, quite honestly. What I did was, every time I was dysregulated, and by dysregulated is when you have that feeling where you're like, your heart, I don't know, like your heart is going, or you feel a cold shiver down your spine, you're alert, those times where you're just like, "Mm, oh my God," that for me is what I mean by dysregulation. When, like, I'm on alert, I'm high alert, the adrenaline's flowing, my nervous system is activated, right? Like you're just not at peace. And sometimes it's lesser or more, but whatever. So when I would be, I guess, activated, I suppose is the best way to put it, I would journal. I'd get a pen and paper and I would start journaling. And what I would do is I would trace what was on the surface was always just like it's just like the bubble on the surface, right? There's something on the bottom of the ocean or whatever it is on the bed. And the surface, you need to track it down. So I would just journal about, like, oh, I'm pissed off with this person, or this is happening, or this should happening, and, like, all the shoulds. This is how the world is and how it should be, and da, da, da. And I trace it down. I trace it down. I'm like, oh, why is that bad, Caroline? Why is that bad? And I'm like, oh, because I X Y Z. Why was that bad? And I would keep tracing that down until I got to the core, where it was like so painful. Like, it would be something really, really, like, I'm not enough. I remember one which was love is scarce. Like, I was upset because I went on a date with someone, it didn't go well. And the reason I was so upset was because I had this belief that love is scarce. And so therefore, like, you know, it's not all around me. There's not options for me. And it was devastating. And I felt devastated when I got to that belief. I sobbed uncontrollably. And let me tell you, that wasn't the bad part. Like, the bad part was holding on to it and letting that belief sit there until I felt the full devastation of it. The feeling of devastation was actually really cathartic. And I did that with all kinds of things, like money anxiety, you name it. Like, I was every night I would go to bed and I would journal, and I would I would look for the thorn and try and, like, pull the thorn out at its root, basically. And the amazing thing about that is once you get it, it doesn't come back to a certain extent. And so that was my method. And I tell you what was some resources that really, really helped me. Resource one, Byron Katie, The Work. I love that. Once I got down to that, like, core, like, heartbreaking sob, I suppose, that heartbreaking belief, I then used the Byron Katie process to turn it around. So Byron Katie teaches you to turn your thoughts around and question your thoughts. I got down to the core belief and felt devastation, and then I used the process, and it just I don't know what it did, but it liberated me. That is the best way to put it. Absolutely liberating. And you do that enough, and you start to see profound impacts in your life. Like I remember I would be in a situation, like a guy's name would be brought up, or my accountant would message me because I got post or whatever, and normally I'd be like, you know, like, heartbeat fasting, chest, like, shallow breathing, and I was like, okay. And I remember being like, oh wow, the reactivity, just to things that were personally like painful to me, just started to go. And it's like, my accountant could have been telling me like, by the way, you've got a bill for 10 grand that you need to pay and you've not got that in your bank account, like what, but like I didn't catastrophize it anymore. I didn't make meaning of it. I didn't, I didn't say like, oh, I'm going to die of poverty anymore. Like that was like a belief I used to have. I'm going to die of poverty. I'm going to be homeless and die of poverty. So I need to create loads of money and loads of abundance and manifest all this. And so when my accountant sends me that, I don't have that core belief in me anymore that I'm going to die of poverty. And so then it's not activating my nervous system. I'm not getting triggered. And I'm like, okay, I can deal with this with a clear head. And that's, like I said, the first layer, because then you stuck into some real trippy layers and you start to question like if everything's a story. And I think it is, but I'm gonna leave that one for another day. So that's something I do. And so Byron Katie, The Work. And another thing I do, or did, I don't do it so much anymore, is called REBT, Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy. And so that was like the first thing I did. And essentially what Byron Katie does and REBT does is it's practices that turn your thoughts around. And I'm not, there's anyway, it's a kind of sort of therapy culture. Um, what I found really powerful about it was turning the beliefs around, like getting into the core beliefs where I was like in an actual state to accept and acknowledge, like, oh, I believe this and this is, and then feel it. And then I used these techniques which reframe. So they're basic. These techniques are reframing techniques, and they are amazing on beliefs. I used Byron Katie before at a surface level, just to turn thoughts around, and found it really powerful. But I think it's absolutely life-changing when you get deeper into it. So I really recommend REBT and Byron Katie for that, which is great. They're more therapy culture stuff. So couple things, like couple things I'm into now as a result of this. I'm into non-duality, and yeah, I like that. I like it. Big fan. I follow Simply Always Awake on YouTube. Um, I think Angelo is awesome. I did, he also had some really great, emailed him before and he suggested some coaches for me. And these coaches were kind of more in the realm, like sort of like awakening coaches, rather than like therapists or abundance coaches. I've had it all, by the way. I've had it all. And Byron Katie gives all her stuff out for free, and that was by far the most powerful thing that I did for the longest time. And it was free, and it was kind of in the realm of building up your self-esteem, right? Angelo's more like there is no self. And the root of all suffering is believing there's a self. But you need to build up your sense of your self-esteem before you can deconstruct the self. So I recommend, like, if you are struggling with money anxiety, if you are struggling with manifesting love, if you are struggling with, I don't know, all the things that you could be struggling with, I really recommend doing that deep work and using Byron Katie. And then if you're ready to start looking at some trippy realms, go and check out Angelo DeLulo, Simply Always Awake, because he is so great. I'm trying to think if I watch anyone else. There's a few people, but I'll cover that in another video. So there you have it. Why I gave up on law of attraction and how I created internal abundance instead. So yeah, I don't think abundance is about attracting more. I actually think it's about attracting less. I think it's about stripping the layers back, because ultimately when you get down to it, you realize you have the whole universe. Like, you have everything. You have it. What we have is absolutely amazing. Now, I don't always appreciate that. I am still flawed, still human, but like, you have everything. It's everything's amazing. Sometimes I don't believe that, like I said. But anyway, I think that abundance isn't about attracting more. I think it's about attracting less. So I'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts, your insights, your experiences. And of course, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Thanks. Have a good day.